Hey, welcome back to ProAm-Garage, where today I'm getting my little sex fingers all over this Arc 7 here. So I've already taken the liberty of chopping a big 90-degree alloy pipe in half, and now we're going to need to mate that to intercooler, and then where's the other one? This one's already here, and we need to mate that to there as well. So that's what today's about. I've got a brand new greedy elbow that's going to be going onto it, so that's what we're going to be mating the intercooler piping up to. The battery's going in the boot, so we don't have to worry about any interference like Brad's car, and yeah, we should be good to go. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into it and get things done. So from looking at the time lapse, you may be wondering what I've been doing with some of this stuff. So I thought I'd give you a bit of an explanation as to what I'm doing. So with this kind of thing, there's always a toing and froing of what parts are going to work with what application, and because this isn't a standard kit that we do on a car, obviously this is some sort of aftermarket intercooler that's been modified to fit in this car. There isn't even any mounts on it yet, but it's solid enough for me to do this process. So basically what I've done is through various different bits and pieces, I've made this all fit. So I've just ordered a couple of new joiners, and what I've done here is I've marked where it mates to the turbo compressor housing. I know I need to cut off this flange here, and then I will weld this elbow straight on here. I've drawn the line so I know where it needs to be when I've cut it off. And I've also marked on here as well, if you look here, where that wants to mate up on there. Now that also, you'll see a cross mark there. That's how much material I need to take off the front. Now obviously it's going to taper towards the back, because if you look here, it's sitting slightly off. So instead of trying to bridge a gap, I'm going to cut it off on a you know, one side is going to be longer than the other, so there's less material to take off on one side than the other, and that will make it have a really nice perfect fitment. So that's that side, and this is much the same. I've had to order another joiner which I didn't have in stock, so that's going to come off there. I've just ordered a 45-degree bend, that'll come down there, and again that'll mate up to there. So I've already trimmed this down. It's a bit hard to hold, but you can see the line already lines up there, so that means that when I disassemble this to weld it up, it just makes it really easy for everything to go together. Now with the different configurations that I did, I could have just run with one hose on this side. The problem being with that is it makes it extremely difficult to get anything off at a later date. So by having two hoses, you've got the extra bit of flexibility, and it just means that if we ever have to pull this off, which chances are it will at some point, it's not going to be an absolute struggle. I'm not going to have to remove the compressor housing or anything like that to make it happen. All I need to do is loosen these off, probably slide one of them back, and then it should just pop off. So it's still going to be difficult to get off, but it's going to be less difficult because it has two joiners instead of one, and it's a very short space. Now I could possibly go and have straight joiners as opposed to a 45 to reduce the amount of compression that this hose could make, but in all essence, like this car hasn't got the biggest budget in the world, so I have to work within that. And yes, I would love to make this look amazing, and I would love to have you know, Wiggins clamps or vibrant clamps or whatever you want to use, but this budget basically doesn't have that, allow for that kind of thing. So I'm having to work with what I've got. Now the next thing I need to do before I go too much further is check to make sure I have bonnet clearance. So now that I've got that positioned where I need it to, I'm going to take this together. I'm going to remove all the stuff, you know, around the engine bay, and then I'm going to close the bonnet so that it's in its closed position, and that way I can just make sure that nothing's going to foul on the bonnet, because if it does, that means I have to redo everything. Now if I don't check that now and I go ahead and continue with what I'm doing, and then we do all this work, I do all this work, and then I find that I've gone and messed up, I'm going to have to do all the work over again. So it really pays to check all this sort of stuff. You know, we had a similar thing with Brad's car the other night, where because we've been working on the car so often late at night, we missed a few steps and we didn't check a few things, and there was some clearance issues, but luckily it worked out. But that was a lucky situation, whereas it could have been much worse. We could have gone to fit the battery because we made the intercooler piping before we had the battery mounted and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so we were lucky in that instance because everything does clear just, but you know, just goes to show that, you know, even though I've been doing this for a long time, you know, Patty, who was helping out with that car, we just missed a step, and it was probably because we were tired. But anyway, so this one isn't too far away in terms of the intercooler piping, so I've already ordered my new joiners. They'll be here in the morning or before lunchtime, and that way I can finish off this, I can finalize everything. Now the reason I'm not going to pull everything apart now and start welding things together is because, let's say for example the joiners turn up tomorrow and they're slightly different to the ones that I've used. That means everything will sit differently in its position, and if I don't have the ones I'm going to use, it just means that I could have to redo things again. So to eliminate that, I am not going to go and sort of just jump in gung-ho, and it really pays to just make sure you've got all the equipment here that you're going to be using, unless you're absolutely certain that what you've ordered is going to be exactly the same. In this case, I've got a different manufactured silicone hose joiner here, so I don't know if this one's going to be the same as the one that turns up tomorrow. So it doesn't pay for me to go and do something like this. And when I test fitted this one, I had a 3" to 3" 45 instead of a 2 3/4 to 3". So obviously the positioning of that will be slightly different. So rather than having to redo work later on, I'm just going to do it all in one hit. So just saves me a lot of time. But yeah, so I'm going to I'm still going to check bonnet clearance because the joiner can be trimmed, so if it's too long I can just trim it down. That's not a major, so I'll take this together now, and then I'll check bonnet clearance and all that sort of stuff, and then tomorrow morning I'll be good to go. So moving forward on that, what's left to do? So I have to obviously finish off intercooler piping. Once that's done, once this one's done, I can then make the AST mount. I can weld the blow-off valve adapter onto this pipe. What else is there? I've got to install the wiring. I've got to do the downpipe for the turbo and the oil return, but I need my hoist. So at the moment my hoists are taken up by other projects that are waiting on parts. So rather than swap cars around every day, I'm doing what I can on the ground here, so it doesn't really matter. It's yes, it would be nice having it on a hoist, have it a little bit higher, but this is absolutely fine for what I'm doing. It doesn't require a huge amount of brain power either, so I don't need to go up and down with the car at this stage. When I do the downpipe, yes, I will, but I've already over there on the windscreen there, I've already welded the first stage of the pipe, so yeah, the rest should come together pretty quickly. So yeah. Oh, I'm pretty happy with my progress on this today. I've only got probably an hour or two left of work today, so I'm going to carry on with something else. I've got some bearings that have turned up for a car down the back, so I'd like to get those underway so we can get the new wheels on the car, so when the owner turns up he can see what they look like on the car. So yeah, I'm going to leave you with that for now, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow.